back to our Tiny Desk gift guide series, where we will be having a quick chat with ideas and tips to help you choose gifts for the artists and creatives on your list. So let's get started.
Today we are talking about substrates, particularly for oil painters, acrylic painters, multimedia artists, encaustic, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not paper,
not
substrate.
Paper, not
substrates.
paper.
Yeah.
Though that is a substrate.
That is a substrate. But we already covered watercolor paper
yeah.
and sketchbooks. So this is what you get. Okay. So the first question we would ask you is, what do they paint?
Yeah.
And that will determine. Actually, you know what? It doesn't really determine anything here. They could use all of the above.
But it's good to know. It's good to know what they paint.
Yeah.
Because the substrate, I mean, you wouldn't want to use a soft substrate like a canvas, stretch canvas for encaustic. So that's important to know.
Okay, that's true. Yeah.
It's more what size, and not, you can get them the size that they generally paint, but you could consider getting them a different size to think outside the box a little bit. But for you to sort of investigate, if you want to, ahead of time, the options and maybe what they're using currently, so to make a decision on whether you're going to get them the same kind of thing or something different, and what different entails. So one of the first things that one can get is what's called a stretch canvas, and they come in two different profiles. One is generally called standard. That's about 3/4 of an inch, and then this is 1.5 inches. It's gallery. So this is ready once the sides are painted to be hung directly into a gallery, whereas generally the standard one is framed beforehand. So that's a consideration. Mm-hmm. Most artists will purchase the gallery because they don't want to pay for the expense of framing.
Unless you're an artist that uses frames as part of the work, in
Absolutely.
which case you're going to want the standard.
Yeah. And these come in from, this is tiny at 5 by 7 to 5 feet by 7 feet. Mm-hmm. Though I will say that right now on canvas, stretch canvas and panels in the large size, they're hard to come by in the city, I think. Just with the whole supply chain hold up with the pandemic. Seems to lag a little bit in delivery.
Our stretch canvases are from Ampersand Gessobords, which is a Canadian company, and the stretcher bars are kiln dried, and the canvas is double primed, which means that the kiln dried stretcher bars means that they're stronger, they're well made, and they're not prone to warping.
Yeah.
Not all stretched canvas is created equal, and usually if you can find like a bulk pack or a bargain pack, it's because the stretcher bars are made of a softer pine, maybe a younger pine, not always kiln dried, and they do warp sometimes as soon as you start painting on them, and the canvas tightens up.
One good thing you can do is just lay it down on a surface before you buy it to see if it is already warped.
It has a little rock to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So stretch canvas is generally ready to paint right on. It's gessoed. It's got a couple of layers of gesso on it, and the artist can begin to paint right onto the surface.
But I like to clean mine before I use
it's very important.
Yeah, so I use an old t-shirt and just rub it off before I start, just to see if there's any dust or any debris from manufacturing. Even though it's in a plastic wrap, it didn't come into existence in this plastic wrap.
Yeah.
So. Mm-hmm.
Another option besides canvas are what are called panels. Small one here.
Cradled panels.
Yeah, cradled panels. Again, they're gallery ready to be hung at 1.5 inches.
And that is why they're called cradled. So there are cradled refers to the ones that do have the frame on the back.
Yeah.
Turn it all the way around so you can see.
Yeah.
And these are with a birch ply finish. We have lots of really fun sizes.
Yeah, this is you can consider in the how big they paint. Also, do they generally paint in a square or a rectangle? You can give them something fun in a 3 by 12. This could be a nice panorama or a nice long one.
Or do they paint in pairs? Can you match different sizes or similar sizes to create a piece on 2 panels?
Yeah. or a triptych.
Triptych.
Yeah. The thing with the panels, though, is they do need to be prepared before you paint. You just don't paint directly on the wood panel or the wood surface, whether it's cradle mounted or not. You're going to need to, depending on the manufacturing, give it a rough sand. Put what's called a barrier label.
I'd say a light sand.
Light sand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Did I say rough?
You said rough.
I meant the opposite. Don't know. A light sand, and then you want to put, they would have to put a barrier layer on, which is some sort of medium that prevents the paint from going through to the wood and the wood leaking through to the paint. Then the gesso, which is the painting surface, and then they're ready to paint. So there is a little bit more work involved in getting a panel, and you may want to consider getting some of those, like the gesso and the medium for the barrier layer, along with the panel, and consider where your artist is at in terms of development. Are they going to want to take the time to gesso their own or not?
I really like working on the panels too, because I like to have the wood show through, and that is an option. Oh, stay in the frame. When you seal the panel, that's just like a clear acrylic polymer base, but there are also clear acrylic gessos that you can use, so that what you're left with is part of the wood panel, and then whatever you're painting only on the area that you intended, so you can kind of work with the grain of the wood. So lots of fun.
Yeah.
Did you touch on the round?
No, I did not.
Yeah, so we have cradled panels in round as well. We talked about those longer sizes, but these we have up to 30-inch panels in stock. Yeah,
they're not the 1.5 inches deep.
No.
But you can generally get those on the wall.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, I also put standard ones on the wall without a frame too.
But the canvases...
They don't have the same... They don't
impact.
Feel as polished or as finished as like the thicker gallery frames, I find.
But in a panel, it's less of an issue.
Yeah. So panels and wood squares. Okay. Next up, we have uncradled panels. And our example that we have here are Gessobords from Ampersand. So Gessobords are pre-primed, and this is 1/8 of an inch thick, and it's on a Masonite, but it's parfait. This is professional grade. It's very, very smooth, really popular amongst our portrait painters.
Yeah.
This is a great option if you do choose to frame your work afterwards, and it's just nice to have something ready to go and professional quality.
And by ready to go, you don't have to gesso. It's already got a primed and ready to go surface.
Mm-hmm. Lots of sizes, and in the smaller sizes, these are also very popular with people who are doing plein air painting because of their size.
Yeah.
We didn't grab the canvas boards.
I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you want to talk about the canvas pad?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So another thing we really love are Fredrix canvas pads, which I think is a great quality and a great option. This is real canvas that is gessoed, and it comes in a in a pad of 10 sheets, and you can create a painting and mount it on a panel, or if you could have a wood cradled panel and glue a piece of this onto your panel, so you could have that wood edge with the canvas on top. But it's a nice accessible format when you're getting started too. It doesn't feel quite so precious as something that's on a stretcher, because it's coming out of a pad, and you can just take a sheet out and tape it down to something and work on a piece, and then you can have that framed afterwards or mounted to a board.
Yeah, ready to paint, and great for those that are learning or experimenting. Mm-hmm. Just really easy to use. I use them.
And one thing I like, we do have it in this smaller, ready-to-go 8x10 size, but we often encourage folks to get the larger, like 12x16 or 18x24, because you can cut it as well. Yeah. So then you have a lot of different options for format and size, and it's nice to have the option to kind of change the shape as you go.
So these are a canvas board. We touched on these in the section on creating a studio away from home or your kitchen. These are great for plein air painters. They're a hard board. These are done by Fredrix, same with the canvas pads. And they have a canvas surface on top. They're very lightweight and not very expensive. So great for plein air painting, for sketching, for that little project you want to do at home with your kids or something. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very cheap and cheerful, and I feel like easy to just get started because you're not feeling precious about the material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a Masonite panel, so unlike the Gesso board, it's not finished. More like the Cradled panels we've shown, you do need to gesso it, have a barrier layer first before you gesso and then gesso. But it's cut Masonite in various sizes. And artists have been working on them for years.
And also great for framing.
Yeah, great for framing.
And now for something completely different and very lovely and beautiful, we also carry Artefex ACM panels. So ACM stands for aluminum composite panels, and this is a nice option for oil and acrylic painters. This is considered one of the most archival formats to do a painting on because of the surface, and unlike canvas and wood that is natural and breathes, and over time the paintings will fail over long periods of time. If you're looking at the longevity and archival qualities of your work, ACM panels are considered the standard now, and Artefex has kind of been leading in that department, and they were the first ones to come out with copper artist panels, which are really nice to paint on. So it's a copper sheet on one side and the aluminum composite, and there's this high density foam in the middle, but you can get some really interesting and warm effects. The copper really shows through, and you can play with the translucency of layers. You don't need to prime this. No. You can just start painting on it right away. It is ready to go. So this is, if you could have the copper be a component in the work, but I've also seen it completely covered. I've seen a portrait done on this, and you can see the glow of it through the paint layers as well. Now this is shiny, and I just feel it's very festive because of its like shiny, lovely qualities. But Artefex also makes lead primed linen panels, lead primed no linen, just lead prime on a panel on ACM, and oil primed linen on panels as well. So you have a couple different options there to choose from. And this is 1/8 of an inch thick. This is something that will need to be framed afterwards, but just...
And our Artefex panel for the realist painter in particular, for portraiture or landscape, is a beautiful gift, because artists, they're not that they're pricey, it's just that they're precious. And artists tend to, by the time they've got their paints and everything like that, the investment to step up to a copper panel is like, well, maybe next time.
That's an extra step.
Yeah.
But something that would be really lovely to receive and to play with.
Yeah.
So those are our substrate options for you today, and then a couple takeaways. A really easy stocking stuffer gift that would be helpful for any kind of canvas hanging or anything that has a cradle back or a stretcher back would be a wire framing kit. Yeah. Which those parts are readily available at a hardware store, and nice to have some in reserve at home so you don't have to go out for them. So that's a nice, very practical thing to tuck in.
And after they've carried all their, these are smaller sizes. Yeah. When you're doing big paintings, these can get quite something to carry. So after they've carried those around the studio a little bit, getting your artist in your life a gift certificate for a massage.
This is our plug for massages. This is our plug for the people in our lives about a massage too. But massages, you don't think about it, but artists do a heck of a lot of schlepping of different size materials, and that is always a welcome gift, and will support somebody's practice by keeping their body and moving well and feeling good.
Yeah. So I think that's it for substrates.
That's it for substrates. Thanks for joining us again.
Yeah, we'll be popping in a few times a week between November 15th and December 10th for completely unscripted tips and info on what to get your artists. To check the links for the whole gift guide series, go to our Instagram or blog.
Thanks for joining us.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.